Hey everybody, welcome to the Quarantine Corner podcast. I'm here with Rashawn as usual.
Hey.
And then we have our guest here, Bree.
Hi, I'm Brianna.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing fantastic.
All right, so I guess we'll just jump into the questions I have here. So how would you refer to somebody who is black? Like, what would you like to be called?
Oh my god. So you could just say either black or African American. Don't say colored because this is not the 60s. So, yeah.
Or the blacks. I feel like if you add an S, or an ED to something like that, makes it like the African Americans.
Oh, yeah.
You're generalizing everybody kind of.
Yeah.
Like. All right, cool. And so as we'll go on, how do you feel about George Floyd's murder?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, I kind of feel the same way that everybody else does. It's like kind of weird to explain. Mostly hurt, I guess, and just upset that it really takes somebody dying to create change and all that stuff. So, yeah.
What are your thoughts on the protest?
I think they are well needed and necessary. I think they're great. I think people that are going to protest is literally risking your life. So I think that's awesome that people are actually doing that, because that's what black people go through on a daily basis, even just doing regular things. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
So whenever you say that you protest, you're risking your life, you're saying that going to a protest, your life could be endangered?
Definitely, yeah. Like as soon as you even step on site, it's definitely.
and so sorry, and so with the protest here, I'm talking about like peaceful protesting. Now I'm gonna place it in a separate category as the riots. Do you think that would be fair, or do you think they're one and the same?
That's a good question. I think I don't know. Protesting peacefully, I mean, that's different than rioting because you are resorting to violence. But I also think the riots are necessary because even just regular peaceful protesting, like in many different forms, like a lot of people don't care about that, or they try to shut it down. And the looting, I'm not sure exactly how it started, but it's getting kind of mixed up because cops are literally going undercover and like breaking stuff on purpose, so it looks worse than what people are actually doing. So I think rioting and the looting is different, and the looting gets mixed up in there. But yeah, I think that's just because there's some bad apples in there, so it's kind of making it look weird.
Okay, so what you're saying is the peaceful protesting, and then those evolving into riots, that's I guess like one and the same. But people going to loot and people going to cause chaos is what's putting a bad image on everything. Yeah. All right. And then just in general, how do you feel about police? I guess like now and past, as you were growing up, like what is your idea on police been?
I don't know. That's so weird. It's such a weird question. Okay, the police. I mean, I've never just on a regular day, like nothing happened, been like, dang, the police friggin' suck, dog. Like,
okay,
what?
so on a basis, like if someone was asking you, like, how do you feel about police? Like if a police pulled you over, how would you feel?
Oh, okay. Honestly, okay, wait, story time. One time I got pulled over and I was genuinely scared, and like that's how I knew. I was like, that's an issue. And I was like, I never gave any thought to it. I was just like, holy crap, like I just got a rush of like all the police brutality that's ever happened, and like all the stories people told me, and I was like, oh my god, like my heart started racing so fast. But just from that, you can. Oh, sorry. But yeah, even just from that, yeah, I think the police are really corrupt, and it's just like the police kind of suck. Like obviously not all police are bad and stuff, but like there's a good amount of them that are pretty garbage. So
have you ever felt protected by police?
Not really, I guess. Yeah, no. I feel like the like odds are stacked against me pretty bad, even if I'm not doing anything. So.
All right, so what about tell us about the traffic stop, or where you got stopped?
Okay, so it was which is here. Wait, should I give the location, or is that?
You can go for it, yeah.
Okay, so it was in it was here, and It was kind of like one of those speed traps or whatever. So like they'll be at the bottom of a hill, and it's like most people aren't gonna ride their brake the whole time. Like they're just gonna go. So yeah, I like didn't even have my foot on the gas or anything, and then I was like going downhill maybe like 10 or 15 over, and then he like pulled me over, and then it took him probably like 10 minutes to walk up to the car, and I was like, oh my gosh. I don't think I texted anybody, but I probably thought about it. I was like, oh my god, what if I go to jail? Who's gonna know? What if I don't even make it there? Like all this stuff. So yeah, but then they were pretty chill. It was like this Hispanic guy, and then he just gave me a ticket, and then everything was pretty regular after that.
All right. Yeah, that's... What do you think, from I guess a cop's standpoint? How do you think he should approach the protest? How do you think cops should handle the protests?
I think like cops that are actually there.
Cops
like,
that are actually there. Both.
Honestly,
Well, I guess both like physically there and I guess like just as a whole, how should cops be handling this situation in a way that they're definitely not right now?
I think they should keep the same energy they had when all those Karens were out there protesting for freaking haircuts, dog. Like you see the videos, like it's not even like I'm making it up, but it's like literally people were like pushing cops and all that stuff. All they had was the shields, and they were just standing there cooling, they were vibing, but then now they want to switch it up. So there's a clear mindset that is ingrained in a lot of them to just resort to violence even during peaceful protests. So I think it's pretty hypocritical, and I think they should just do what they were doing before. Or if you're gonna be violent during a protest, when it's your right to protest, like when people in America are protesting, do the same thing to everybody. Like, don't switch it up for the cause or who's there. Like, so yeah.
So by Karens, obviously you mean like the people or the white people that were protesting for stuff to open back up and letting them wear masks and stuff. So they were protesting that, and probably or not even probably, in kind of like a non-peaceful manner.
Yeah.
They were
literally getting in their face, like spitting, yelling, coughing on them. Sorry. But yeah.
And so the approach to this is totally different, and you think that I'm not going to place words in your mouth, but what do you think the cause is behind that?
Honestly, I don't want to pinpoint it to one thing, but I kind of think there's just like this natural racist vibe going on, even whether it's through training or like how they were brought up or something like that. Like something in the system is telling them to react like that. Like even if it's not their choice, someone is telling them to do that. So yeah, there's like some corrupt part in the police, and that's kind of influencing a lot of them to act the way they are.
What is something you think that people who aren't black should do to help this movement?
Yo, I got a list for that. Donate, just share information, honestly, sign a petition. I mean, I'm not going to tell everybody to go to a protest, but if your parents will let you go to a protest, like if you, I don't know, there are a lot of ways to prepare for it, and I really think people should go if they can, and if their parents don't have a problem with it. Like, obviously it's a safety thing, but like, people do a lot of stuff that's dangerous all the time. So, yeah. I think you should just be active in any way you can. You can't just say, oh, I support it, and then not do anything. So.
Post a black square.
Oh my god.
Do you want to talk about that?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I posted one of those, but I also did other stuff. But I was like, oh, that seems like cool. Like, it just like seemed like maybe it would help. Like, I don't know. It just sometimes, like, in a situation like this, it seems like any little thing can help, even though Instagram posts are pretty stupid. But it's just like maybe it'll catch somebody's attention. Like, maybe it'll do something. Like, it's kind of just a hope that it'll like that little trend will get through to someone who isn't aware about it or is on the fence about stuff. So yeah.
So Blackout Tuesday, I think the original point was that was not to spend any money, and just to see, because obviously people in the government aren't listening to the protests, they're not listening to the riots, they're not listening to what the people are saying, and so they were hoping by basically like shutting the economy down for a day that there would be change. And I think it just kind of evolved from that, and people started posting the black squares. But the thing is with the posting the black squares is that they were using the hashtag Black Lives Matter, and with that hashtag, it was pushing a lot of the injustice to the bottom of the feed. So if people were to go to the hashtag, it would just be black squares instead of what was actually what people were going there to see.
Yeah.
Speaking of the donations and the list you had, that's going to be down in the description of wherever this video ends up. So you can click on that and do your part. All right. Do you think that the media is affecting what we see and how we feel?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so yes. Okay, I kind of want to go back to like Instagram really quick. Just with like those little trends and like the black squares and stuff, I feel like that can, like, it's cool, but just for me, I'm not gonna do those anymore. And it's like the source of those and like the source of the main point of those can get really mixed up really fast, and you don't know what it's for. And it's just like, just be straightforward with how you're gonna help. Like, just be direct. Like all those little like cute trends and stuff, like, no, don't do that. Yeah, because obviously what happened with like the black squares and stuff, like all the information got pushed to the bottom, and it was just like kind of counterproductive. But yeah, I honestly had to like delete Twitter and Instagram because I was getting sad. Like yesterday I literally cried because I was like watching so many videos, because that's all my feed is. So I was like, I'm still gonna support, but like I can't look at this every day. So
yeah. And also, I guess media, I'm talking like news and the differences between the social media sites. So I'm not sure if you've been to like Facebook and then been to Twitter, but like the difference in those two is kind of crazy. So with Facebook, it's a lot of, I guess, like Trump supporters. It's a lot of people who are basically, all my Facebook is like Blue Lives Matter, is like, you know, yeah. So I don't touch Facebook, and Twitter's kind of showing like a real side of things. And I feel like with mainstream media, it's only covering looting. I haven't seen much on mainstream media covering, you know, the
any
injustice.
real stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And then so I mean, obviously you're a black woman, so I'm gonna ask some questions about that, and I guess I'll split this first question up into two parts. What was it like growing up as a woman or as a girl?
I mean, the typical thing, which shouldn't be typical, but it is. A lot of people just judge you on literally your gender. Like even my dad does sometimes. He's like, "Oh, you probably don't know what this is, so you know, I'll just do it for you." Or like he'll mansplain something to me, and it's like, bro, I took an IT class, like, get out of my face. But yeah, it's just a lot of people assuming stuff about you before they even know you, which is very annoying. But
so and do you think that's doubled by being black as well?
Yes. Oh my gosh, literally. I told Rashawn this story a while ago, but like this she was a kid. She was like probably 13. We were on an airplane, didn't know her, and like she was saying racist stuff to me as we were getting off the plane, and I was like, dude, what the freak is your problem? Like, your mom doesn't give two craps that you're saying this to my face. She was standing right there, and I was just like, bro, like, you've got to be kidding me. So yeah.
Like, what kind of stuff was being said?
She like was referring to me as like a monkey and like throwing like literally throwing peanuts at me, bro. And I was just like, oh my god. And like me, my mom, the flight attendant, that like girl, she was white, and then her mom, we're all there. They all heard that, and then she just said it and then walked away. And I was like, what the heck? Yeah, I was like pretty sad after that too. I was like, oh my god. But yeah, pretty trash.
That's all right. What kind of struggles did you have as you were growing up? You know, just in general.
I mean, aside from that, which is pretty, like, a lot of people go through way more traumatic stuff and all that. So, like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, my God, my life is so hard. Like, no. I was, like, pretty privileged, and, like, I grew up in a white neighborhood, like, actually all of my life. So, it was, like, aside from, like, a couple crappy things, and it really wasn't that bad.
Real quick before we continue, do you feel like it's a problem, like, how you have to specify that you grew up in a white neighborhood? Like, instead of it just being, you know what I'm saying, like a nice neighborhood.
Yeah. See, that's natural. I just was like, oh, yeah, like, I grew up in a white neighborhood, like, ha. Like, yeah, so that even shows you right there, to be honest.
Like, what was the earliest experience of racism?
Oh, okay. One of the first things that I remember, and this is crazy, because I can almost, and I'm not gonna, actually, no, I am.
Actually, I am.
It's like, I can 99.59 freaking % guarantee you that no white parent has ever had to tell this to their kids ever. I remember on multiple occasions my parents have told me before, even when I was younger, like, hey, you're black, in case you didn't know that, so people are probably gonna be racist to you, and if anybody is, tell us, but we're just letting you know. And it was just like a lot of conversations like that, and like even sitting at the dinner table, like when I feel so bad because I can't remember the names, but there's so many, but like all the cases of police brutality, like almost not every time, but like we kind of watch the news when we eat dinner, and then they pause it and be like, hey guys, if anything like this happens, like they just, like, you shouldn't have to tell your kids that, and like white people probably or definitely do not have to go through that.
Not even
all.
probably.
So, yeah.
Growing up, I've never had an experience like that, and honestly, like it's so weird growing up, because honestly, up until like a couple years ago, I had no idea this was anything that y'all went through. I never even thought about it, never crossed my mind, and so I mean, that's the reason that I'm doing this podcast now, is because I know that there's still a lot of people that never even thought of this, that this has never crossed their mind. So I'm glad that we're here spreading awareness and whatnot.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say that I really do appreciate you bringing me and Rashawn in here to do this podcast.
Yeah, and then, all right, let's continue. So how was the process of getting into college? Do you think it was harder than any of your friends that aren't black?
I'm so sorry. I keep saying
I'll just cut out every It's like 20 seconds long.
Yeah, just
but do I think getting into college was hard? No, because I don't know. Like, the process wasn't hard, but I definitely did think about colleges being racist and them saying, like, oh my goodness, junior year, when everybody was talking about like College Board and all that stuff, I don't know if y'all remember, and they were saying how like they were racist and like made the SAT scores for people of color like lower than other people. I literally put white on my Scantrons. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, because I didn't want them to lower my score. So college, I don't know. I applied to A&M and didn't get in, but I also heard they were racist. So,
I feel like it's weird because there's certain colleges that like they don't want diversity, but they have to meet a black or like minority quota to get certain like so much money, and that's like even more racist because like you only want me here so y'all can keep getting money. Yeah. So it's like that's weird to me.
I didn't even know that was a thing until recently, to be honest.
Where are we? What are some struggles now that you're an adult that you've noticed?
I feel like they're the same, to be honest. Definitely one thing I think about is jobs, because I know employers are pretty weird with that too, and a lot of companies have some kind of corruption in there, and kind of like how Rashawn was saying, like a lot of people just hire people of color like to meet a quota. So yeah, I think about that sometimes, but definitely applying to jobs is something I think about more. And like if they're gonna discriminate against me, either because not even because of my skills, but like either of my race or my color. I mean, what the
gender.
heck? Even my gender, yeah.
Yeah. My color. I'll just be running so fast.
All right. How did you feel that you had to work differently or better than other students in school?
Whenever I realized that, I was like, that freaking sucks. Like, sorry. But I was kind of, I don't know, when I first realized it, I was kind of discouraged. I was like, dang, like, what the heck? But yeah, it just got me discouraged. That really, for a while, it really made me want to move to like Canada or something. Like straight up. Like, I just didn't want to live in a place that was openly discriminative. You know what I mean? Did I even say that right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like a lot of people know and don't care, or they won't change it because, oh, we met the quota, so you know it's cool. Like who gives a freak about the other thousands of people of color that don't have a job, because we don't care.
Yeah.
Even if they're more skilled than somebody who is white. So.
But you have to think about it as like people who are racist. Just like some people are just like unintentionally racist, to a point that like if I feel like black people are under me, why would I associate with their problems? Because it's like why would you step on an ant? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's how some people feel, and it's like they don't want to associate with something under them, so it doesn't matter. So like why would I look at these problems? Like they understand their problems, but why would I look at them if they don't affect me? So.
Do you feel pressure to be better than everyone else, to be viewed equal?
Yes. Even now, even in college, it's just like I feel like most people, or people that aren't of color, they can just go to class and do whatever, but I feel like I should be doing more all the time, and like it really stresses me out. Like I need to get more certificates, or I can't just have the degree, like I need to be in this club or whatever. So yeah, it just feels like I have to do 10 times the work to even be equal in like, or even like give myself a shot at it for someone who's doing the bare minimum. So
all right, what are your experiences with college? Do you feel the same pressure?
No, I stopped caring a long time ago because I realized that my best isn't going to be enough for someone who doesn't care. Like, I can only do what's in my capabilities. So I'm not going to worry about someone else's opinion of me if it's lower anyway. Like, if they're racist, it's not me getting higher grades that's going to change that.
Yeah.
That sucks. Oh my gosh. Like, so many, and like I totally get it, but like that sucks that so many people are kind of just like whatever. Like, you almost just like not giving up because you're still doing the work, but it's just like you can't, like it feels helpless, like you feel helpless, like there's nothing you can do at all. So I think that's just really disheartening.
Do you feel as though your actions represent your entire community? Do you feel like your individual actions are going to be taken to represent everybody?
I feel like they can to someone that's ignorant, but I mean, that's none of my business. Yeah, like if somebody wants to group an entire race because of one person, that kind of makes no sense. So, but I'm just gonna say it right now, like if anybody thinks that, like you're an idiot. Like you'd have to be pretty stupid to do that. And I've also thought about, taking an aggressive approach, like that's not gonna get people to want to help you. It's like, what's your problem? Like that shouldn't, me being aggressive shouldn't be the thing that gets your attention. Like you need to read between the lines and like not, like it's like you're choosing to look away from the issue. So
kind of as Rashawn said, you can't convince somebody who's already had their mindset.
Yeah.
So you speaking, or you being aggressive or whatever, you're speaking to people who are already on your side. So you're not having to worry about losing people who are against you because they're already against you.
It's like, I don't know. Even to people that aren't on my side, like I'll still be aggressive. Like if you're on my side, like cool, then I'll just be like, oh yeah, like we can have a conversation. But if your mindset is already on the extreme side, then like you, bro, like no.
So a friend of my mom, she gave me some questions that maybe I should ask as well. So one we've already kind of gone over, and it's can you share with us the moment that you realized that people viewed you differently based on the color of your skin? So not so much your parents telling you that people will, but what was the moment that you realized people do?
Oh my gosh, I have so many stories about being brown. So when I was in elementary school, I grew up in Maryland, which is who even knows where Maryland is?
I know where Maryland is.
I know where Maryland is.
Yeah, I had a friend. His name was
Wrong.
Sebastian. He's pretty cool.
But so I grew up in Maryland. Literally in my class, in my second grade class, everybody was white except for me and this other girl who was super dark Hispanic, and everybody just outcasted her. She mainly spoke Spanish, and everybody was just who the heck is that? She's an alien. What the heck? So yeah, but that was just with her. But with me, I remember people would ask me, because I don't know if this is unnecessary, but you know how black moms do their kids' hair, right? And all those little twists, and they put barrettes in it, and it's all cool. Mm-hmm. People would ask me so do you wash your hair, or how do you do that? How do you get your hair like that? And people would just touch my hair and be like, can you stop, please? And they were just I was oh yeah, I wash my hair once a week. And then this girl was that's literally disgusting. And I was what? I was so confused. I was what are you talking about? I don't understand why you're reacting this way. And I was so confused. And I was just okay, you're weird, whatever.
You're the weird one.
Literally. And I had a black friend, so me and her were cool. But I didn't really let it bother me that much. But I was just remembered it. And I was just I don't understand how this third grader doesn't know that black people are different than her. I don't know. Or I just didn't understand how she didn't understand, if that makes sense.
So what was probably the most prominent one? What's the one that's burned in your mind, never forgetting?
Probably that thing I said about the airplane. That was just...
What kind of conversations have you had with other black men and women regarding race? What kinds of support and or barriers did you find?
There are some people, one my college roommate, she was black, and she was super just prominent about it. I don't know if maybe Rashawn knows what I'm talking about, but black people that are super into being black, and yeah. So it's kind of like that. Hopefully people will kind of understand. It's kind of an insider thing. But yeah, some people just they wear little T-shirts that say I'm a proud black woman or whatever. Have little silhouettes with an afro or something, or they have keychains with Africa on it, or just something like that. Something, and they're super adamant about black businesses and all that stuff. And she's just way more upfront about it, and I wasn't. And not that I'm trying to hide it or ashamed of it or anything, but it's just that's crazy.
Being black isn't my personality.
Yeah.
So I guess what you can kind of relate that to, or people who aren't black, what you can kind of relate it to, is the LGBT community. You definitely have people who are part of that community who aren't upfront about it, but then you have people who are right there, wearing pride shirts, wearing everything to say that they're pride. So I guess you can kind of relate it to that, to people who are. All right.
But yeah, those are just some differences that I see. And sometimes, at times it would kind of make me feel bad at first, but it's that's just how I am, But we typically, agree on the same things and all that stuff.
All right. Regarding the Black Lives Matter protests this week, is there something about this moment that feels different? I guess compared to other protests throughout history, is there something about this one that feels different? About this movement that feels different than the others?
The other times of police brutality, or just
protests in general throughout history.
Okay.
Because the Black Lives Matters movement has been around for a while.
Yeah.
Do you feel that this is different than it was previously? Do you feel this is on a bigger scale than at other times?
I think so, because if you've seen the receipts, there have been protests in all 50 states and in Europe, and I think in Australia, and
China
a couple,
or Hong Kong.
Yeah, and just all over the world, which is insane. And I'm not trying to undermine other like cases of police brutality, but I think this one really like woke people up and all that stuff. So yeah, I think that this one's different just because of the attention that it's getting and like all these protests that are happening so close together. Like I think that's really cool, and I feel like I really do, and I'm not even trying to sound like a basic Twitter girl or whatever, but like I really think this one's gonna stick just because of how long it's been going on and how long people have been talking about it, because most times it's just like a day or two, but I don't know. I have a good feeling about this one.
So you think that people are going to ride this out till it's over, till there's significant change?
Yeah.
I think what probably like really threw this into like the forefront of everybody's like minds and everything is with the protests that happened in Minneapolis, because I feel like if those wouldn't have gotten to the scale that it happened, I don't think this would have took off as it did. But showing that police handled that situation wrong, and showing that police have no problem tear gassing or shooting rubber bullets at civilians, even though their whole motto is protect and serve.
Yeah.
And I feel that right now it's very much the people against the police, or the people against the government. So.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. There's nothing different about this situation than any other situation. We've had protests before, just no one paid attention to them. We've had instances of police brutality and nobody paid attention to them. It's just the fact that we're all in lockdown and we don't have anything else to do. We have no other choice but to focus on this.
That's tea.
Like, and the reason why this one took off is because if you look at the past month, there was like 5 or 6 like very brutal police brutality situations, like back to back to back. And seeing that broadcasted, this one is just the one that broke the camel's back. I mean, in the sense of protesting, but we've been protesting forever. It's not new. It's just we're forced to watch it now. Like there's actual tension around it now because you can't go to work. You can't go to Six Flags to get away from the news. Yeah. So that's the only difference.
That
Do you think
freaking sucks? And I never thought about that until you said it right now. And part of me doesn't want to believe that, but you're definitely right.
So I mean, in that being said and everything, do you think that change is going to come of this one, or do you think it's going to be exactly the same?
It depends how long we last in quarantine. Because it's just like if quarantine ended right now, no. If they said like Corona's done tomorrow, no, nothing would change. But I think like if you gave it a week or two, maybe a month. I think in a month it would sustain itself, because so far we've had protests every single day. We've had a protest in every city. You know, it's a far-reaching thing because we can't escape the news. You can't, like, a lot of people escape reality by going to do other things. So like they like, oh no, racism doesn't exist because like my black friends in my bubble are fine. Yeah. But like if your black friends in your bubble are like they're putting this on your timeline, like you can't ignore it. So.
And being completely honest and being not black, I think now that and definitely you're right. If quarantine wouldn't have happened, I don't think I would have ever even caught wind of this. I don't think I would have ever even seen it. But now that it's been brought to my attention, and now that I understand just a little bit more, you know, obviously I don't understand what it's like to be black. I don't understand what it's like to go through, you know, injustices like that and have to worry about, you know, being pulled over by a cop, or have to worry about the police brutality chances being way higher. I don't have to worry about any of that. But now that it's been brought to my attention, I don't think it's something I can let go, you know? And I know that this right here, change may come, but it's not going to be a resolution. It's not going to be the end of racism, obviously.
Racism won't end.
Obviously.
Because racism only exists because there's a lack of understanding. Like, if someone, like, I'm different from you, and you don't understand why I'm different, so you fear. And like fear just builds up to hatred. Like that's literally it. And you just pass that down to your kids. But it's just like I use it in the sense of say your dad doesn't like a lamp. Yeah. And you're like, hey dad, why don't you like that lamp? And you're like, oh, I don't know, I just don't like that lamp. And then say you grow up and you're teaching your kids, hey, we don't like that lamp. And your kids ask you like, oh, why don't you like that lamp? Oh, we just don't like the lamp. And they go and they figure out the lamp. They figure out you can plug it in, you turn the light on, and it lights up a room. That's what the lamp does. So you figure it out, and it's like, oh, cool. so there's no reason not to like the lamp. And I think that's what this generation is doing, in the sense of, like, you have a lot of people especially in San Antonio, like, it's like a mixture of cultures, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, my black friend Rashawn. It's, oh, that's my friend Rashawn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, people are losing that, I guess that deep-rooted hatred, because it's just like, it's melting more. And also, I feel like this generation just doesn't care about racism, in the sense, like, it's more of like, it's less about your skin and more about your ideas. But there's always going to be the people who push their ideas based off of skin color.
So and I think that's where social media has done some justice, because if this same situation, if there had been a pandemic and there was police brutality, if this same situation happened even 10 years ago, I don't think it would have blown up as much as it has now, as much as it is now. And I think social media is definitely helping people become knowledgeable, and it's definitely helped people realizing that that lamp can be plugged in, and that lamp is used to light up a room, you know, that these lives matter. And so I think that's pretty cool. That's all I have to say. That's it.
There's another question.
I've already asked it.
Oh, got it.
Most of these questions are just reworded versions of stuff I've already asked.
Got it.
So I guess this is where I kind of ask: is there like instances for both of y'all, that y'all remember like super vividly that you would like to share, or stuff that you think that people should know about what it's like being black?
I mean, I don't know, honestly. Like, I don't really know how to answer that question.
I feel like you don't need to know how it feels to be black to, like, have genuine care for human life.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's the same on the inside, so it doesn't matter how it feels. Like, how do I look on the outside? Like, that's weird to me.
Like, I shouldn't have to give you a reason
Facts.
to care. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
it should be basic, just like the basis of human, like, knowledge or whatever, to just give a fuck about other people.
Yeah.
So sorry.
To care about just, you know, other people who exist around you. It's cool to talk about it, but we're just gonna keep having the same conversations when something happens.
Honestly,
like, I'm still gonna be scared of getting pulled over by a cop. Like, that's not gonna change. Like, I put that thing on my phone for when I get pulled over.
Oh, seriously?
Yes, of course
What?
I did. Of course I did, because I'm saying,
Oh my gosh.
what, like, I leave. Let's say I leave here, I get pulled over. I don't know I'm going home. I don't know if I'm going home, like, at all. I'm gonna keep it real with you, and I'm scared of running. Like, I don't even run anymore, because I'm saying, like, you have people who see these things on the news and they're like, oh, they got away with it, cool. Like, I guess I can get away with it. You know what I'm saying? Until like persecution happens, like, unless there's repercussions for your actions, then it's just gonna keep happening.
Yeah. And also, I feel like telling people or explaining to people, like, how being black is, especially to people that aren't black, I feel like it's kind of like telling scary stories. Like, there's still a disconnect there. Like, I feel like there has to be some other way. Like, I can't just tell you about it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just like reading a history book. It's like, okay, you know how Lincoln died, but, like, you don't feel it. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, there needs to be a real connection to it.
Also, like, racism is really just like a systematic thing, because you can't. It's like instilled divisivism. Like, you're dividing an entire nation and country, because, like, a great example of this is, like, everybody loves Martin Luther King now. The government hated him. They called him a communist. How did Martin Luther King die? Assassinated. That's crazy, right? But nobody really talks about that. They're like, man, he lived a great life. He did all these great things, but, like, people just they leave the reality out of it. They just like the dream bubble.
Yeah.
And that's just how a lot of people feel. There's nothing you can really change about that, because it's weird, because my girlfriend is white, and, like, I'm walking around with her, and you just have people just look at you and stare at you a certain way, and it's like, I don't really care, but it's just like, she's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's different for her, because she's never had those looks before. I've had these looks my entire life. You know what I'm saying? And there's been so many times where I'm like, oh, dog, like, don't do that, because I don't know how other people are gonna react to me. You know what I'm saying? Because like I'll tickle her and she'll like scream. I'm like, whoa, chill out. Like I'm like, chill out, bro. Like I don't want to get in trouble because you know what I'm saying. Like this is a minor inconvenience. And it's just like some people don't want to have that conversation because they like living in their bubble of ignorance because it's safe. Because like, you know, it's scary to look at what's on TV, but it's like, is it really scary because you're not really living that? You know what I'm saying? Like you go to the movies to watch a scary movie. Those 2.5 hours, the movie's done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not living the movie. Yeah. Like we're out here doing this every day. Like, and it's not. You can mind your business. You can do everything right and still be wrong, and like just not come home, just get shot, or just you know what I'm saying, or be the victim of a hate crime. Like that's just what it is, and like you just have, that's the reality that we have to be faced with, and it's sad to say, but like there's so many decisions. Like I put myself in situations to where I don't, like I avoid cops, or like I don't put myself in situations so I don't have no way to get out of it. Like I'm following the speed limit. I'm having my seatbelt on. I'm never on my phone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In like populated areas, like I'm not causing a ruckus or being that black guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
'Cause it's like you don't know how people around you are gonna react. Like I have to think ahead for the other people around me who just speak like off of emotion. So, you know.
Yeah. And there's plenty of people like even just like in malls and stuff, or like, you know, public transportation or whatever. It's like some white guy could be on the phone talking loud as heck, like, oh my god, Jim, did you hear about that meeting? But like if me and my homie, who are both black, are laughing a little bit too loud, then everybody on the train wants to look, or everybody in the cafe wants to turn around. Like, no.
So there's definitely like a preconceived like notion people have, whether they know it or not, that, you know, I guess Jim talking to his friend or whatever, they don't care about that because that's something that just happens. But you talking with your friend and laughing or getting a little louder, whatever, there's that preconceived notion that like you're being disruptive to be disruptive.
It's like, oh,
like you're trying to cause a ruckus.
Kids?
Yeah.
Oh God, like how dare they? Like what the heck?
But I love asking racist people, or like people who say racist things, like, why do you do that? Because they never have an answer. Like they never have an answer.
Yeah.
Because like if
they talk in circles.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like what are you talking about?
Like if you can't articulate why you like something or why you hate something, do you hate it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no possible way you can hate something if you don't understand it.
Exactly. So I guess it's kind of like you said a couple days ago or whatever it was, that like you wouldn't mind if somebody knew what they're talking about. If somebody had the facts to back up their argument,
exactly,
then you know you can't really fight them. But it's the fact that nobody has facts to back up racism. Nobody has facts behind that to say and hate people based on their color alone.
Because it's an emotional reflex. You can't, like, emotions are a fact. You're like, okay, I feel hatred. That's a fact. But why do you feel that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's the emotional part, because you can't explain that. So it's like, people, it's just, you just don't understand it. Like, that's what it comes down to. The human brain just doesn't, it doesn't like what it doesn't get. But it's like, it's to the point where even if people want to understand, like, it's such a deep-rooted issue that it's hard to. Like, yeah. I feel like the only people, like, a group of people who can genuinely understand, like, as close to racism, I don't think they'll ever understand, but it's close to racism as you'll get is probably women, because that's even further back. Like, women have been discriminated against.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying? So, I mean, women didn't go through slavery, but they go through even worse. Like, you have sexual assault. You know what I'm saying? Like, on a daily basis, but nobody, you know what I'm saying? And they're forced to not talk about it, because, like, that's how they're programmed. So,
yeah, because, I mean, that's a different issue. We may tackle that. We may just turn this podcast into talking about issues. I wouldn't mind that. So I guess we're coming to, like, an end of the podcast here. So is there anything that you would like to say?
It's like, to anybody, just, like, I guess that's, like, a sort of say, like, to anybody that says they don't have the time, or, like, makes up some sort of excuse not to support the movement, just be honest with yourself, and, like, either you don't care, or, like, that's it. Just, like, don't make excuses. So, yeah. Because that's very annoying. And it's like, I would rather you just be straight up to me than try to talk your way out of it, because it's never going to work.
And I guess, speaking of which and speaking of that, is all lives matter is not the problem right now. You know, like, saying Black Lives Matter is in no way saying that all lives don't matter. But people who are putting the hashtag all lives matter, you're the problem. You know, you're trying to draw away from what the real problem is. You know, and right now the problem is Black Lives Matter. That's the number one problem right now. That's what we can all focus on right now. So you should not be putting all lives matter anywhere.
Listen, I don't even have a problem if you put all lives matter as long as you mean it. You know what I'm saying? Because like if all lives really mattered, we would have had this fixed a long time ago.
Yeah.
We would have had this fixed a long time ago.
Like, but saying that isn't an excuse to not, like, you should be helping everyone then. Like, exactly. That's not, putting that should not be a cop out.
Fact.
Like, yeah. Like, what do you, yeah.
I guess just to, close it. I feel if you have a friend or like someone who's they're going through this, obviously, like, but if you're willing to understand, just attempt to understand. You know what I'm saying? There's so many avenues and ways you can talk to someone. Like, this is an issue. You know what I'm saying? This is just a same issue. Like, if I crashed my car, you wanted to see if I was okay. You know what I'm saying? If someone died in my family, you wanted to see if I was okay. These are the same thing. It's like the people who look just like me are getting murdered, and like people are just dancing around it because it's uncomfortable. So it's just, you got to be ready to have that conversation. And if you're not, you have to ask yourself why.
Yeah. A lot of people don't want to get to the root of the issue and just solve it. So, like, you're just, I don't know, it's like letting weeds keep growing. Like, you gotta pull, bro. So sorry.
Like Bree just elegantly said, it's like pulling weeds, and just because it's a little uncomfortable doesn't mean that you should stop pulling weeds. You know, if you want to fix the problem, you got to be okay with being uncomfortable. You got to be okay with being a little awkward. You have to be okay, you know, to do that so you can solve the problem, or at least do your best to help. Do your part. Do what needs to be done, you know? All right. Anybody else got anything else to say?
Nope.
All right. I guess thank you, everyone, for watching the Quarantine Corner podcast. Stay safe. That's it.
Don't be racist.
All right. Stay safe. Don't be racist. Thank you for listening to the Quarantine Corner podcast.